And it also goes on to say what else has happened in their life in terms of cosmetic surgeries, in terms of whatever they desired, they got it. And we also know from a lot of other news articles that people have won it, they didn't know how to spend it, and eventually they've lost everything. Now, the important is we all know that Quran talks about the gambling. It talks about the ill effect of the gambling. There is a lot of hadith. Now, our youngsters, I wanted to relate it to this. Youngsters always want to achieve designer stuff, buy branded stuff, wants to become rich at a younger age. And sadly, we see in our communities, sadly, some of us are involved in activities that are not only haram, but also against the law of the land. Your advice?
Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. First and foremost, there's really no need to explain the forbidden nature of gambling itself. Allah calls it in Surah Al-Ma'idah, He calls it min amal al-shaytan. Yeah? He calls it vices from the evil of shaitan. Now this, He calls it rijs, He calls it filth. So dirt, something despicable, vices and evil from shaitan. And he says this is going to spread baghda, enmity between you people. And this is something that's forbidden in Islam. Now, what happens? What is the nature of gambling? The whole nature is against everything that Allah has ordained. What do you think when you gamble? Oh, I'm going to win. You put in money, and everyone knows, yeah? Everyone knows, especially those who gamble. The house always wins. The little man on the street never wins. Okay? Who's making the money? They call it the house. Those people who are, own the shops and own the back end of it all, they're the ones who win. Everyone else actually loses. Even if it looks like they win, it's a facade. And how do they earn money? The whole ethos of the universe, the principle and the fundamental principle that Allah created the whole universe upon is, in order for something to grow, you have to put energy into it. You can't get more without doing something. Okay? This is everything in the universe. This is how it runs. This is the sunnah of Allah in the whole universe. What does gambling give you? The perception that you don't have to do anything. You have to just be lucky. And you're going to get rich quick. This is against every single teaching in Islam. This is not what Allah wants you to do. He made it explicitly haram. And He said, the more you do of this, the more enmity you're going to create in the land and corruption that you're going to create. When people gamble, what do? You look how it destroys families. So many cases that we've had, yeah? So many cases, husband and wife living in a good home, and children, everything. All of it gets destroyed because perhaps the husband is gambling. Then he's stealing money from the wife and he's put them into debt, and then repossession of their house, debt collectors on the door, misery, complete and utter misery.
Are you talking about addiction?
Yeah, addiction. It leads to addiction because the thrill of the gambling, they get a buzz out of it. And even though they've lost and lost and lost and over again, and they have no money, but they can't resist. This is from the vices of shaitan. That's it. He addicts you to it, and then you can't let go. And they're always thinking, the next one is where I'm going to make it all up. So it's ridiculous. Now, Allah saved us from this by making it haram. He didn't make it haram just to constrain us for no reason or restrict us for no reason. No, He made it haram because the consequences of it are so major. It destroys families and therefore society in general. And what do we see in where we're living? You look on the TV, they've increased the number of stations that are to do with gambling, the ways you can gamble,
sports involved,
sports, everything you can gamble on in such ridiculous ways. So they're pushing forward this in a time when there's an economic crisis.
Cost of living, yes.
Cost of living crisis, and still they're allowed to promote this. And send the poor into further misery. And this is oppression upon oppression. And this is why Allah said, no, this thing is haram because it's going to hurt everyone. Now, a person, even if they do win, and they haven't really won, what have they taken? In this world, they've taken a bit of the dunya. What's waiting for you in the hereafter? You've committed a major crime that is explicitly mentioned by Allah in the Quran. If you've done that.
Now, another point I would like to add here, now, especially I've seen from certain comments made by individuals, and I have seen some comments online, and it's interesting why I say it, because common sense dictates, I would assume, that yes, I may win this money, but I might use it for noble cause, for good cause. Now, this is individual that are thinking along the lines of, in inverted commas, sadaqah. I will do a lot of khair in this dunya. Your take.
And it's very simple, isn't it? The Prophet ﷺ said, Inna Allah tayyibun, la yaqbalu illa tayyiba. Allah is pure and only accepts that which is pure. Allah called this filth. How do you think Allah is going to accept any of it? And it doesn't work. When the Prophet ﷺ talks about that man, okay, yutilu safar, yani he's been traveling for a long time.
Yeah.
Ash'atha aghbar, yani his hair is disheveled, his clothes are disheveled and dusty. And what does he do? يَمُدُّ يَدَيْهِ إِلَى السَّمَاءِ. Yani he raises his hands to Allah, calling upon Allah, begging Allah. But he's not going to be answered. Why? Because his food is haram, his clothing is haram, what he's nourished himself with is haram. فَأَنَّ يُسْتَجَابُ لَهُ. He's not going to be answered. Allah doesn't accept it. So, yani, you can think whatever you want about that money and what you're going to do with it and all the good, but Allah doesn't want that. What He wants is for you to submit to His command. So, in a nutshell, you can't build goodness upon a foundation of evil and filth.
Okay, so in other words, if the foundation is based on haram and I'm thinking of doing something good, even if it is halal, yes, the hadith is very clear, it won't be accepted.
It won't be accepted as a good.
Okay.
Yani, haram money that you have, you need to get rid of it. You're not going to get any reward. You need to get rid of it because it was sinful for you to get it in the first place.
So get rid of it without the intention of having reward.
Yeah, you're not going to get anything.
Okay. Secondly, because we touched on addiction, we know the help and support that is there available, alhamdulillah, in NHS and other services. Islamically, spiritually, what kind of dua, or is there anything that an individual can do if someone is addicted to gambling?
Okay, this is a very good point. If a person is addicted to it, take the means that are available to you to get rid of the addiction. Okay, whether it's from Muslims or non-Muslims doesn't matter. It's an addiction. You need to rid yourself of it. That's what Allah said. Fantahu, yani leave it, get away from it. Do what's necessary to get away. The crux of it is all managing the self, containing the self. You know, in fasting we contain and manage it ourselves. It's just around the corner now. The end of March, fasting starts. This is the way we're meant to control ourselves and manage ourselves and desires. Likewise, any addictions, that's how we're meant to do it.
Okay, excellent, inshallah. When we come back from break, inshallah, we'll take some more nasiha from you about this matter, because we're literally going for a break. And then, inshallah, my dear viewers, we'll be taking your questions. And thank you to the viewers that have already started sending us questions on WhatsApp. You're watching Ask Eman live on Eman Channel on Sky 757 0203 515 0757, our studio number 07916 841 483, our WhatsApp number. Both the numbers are displayed at the bottom of your screen. We'll be back in a few moments. You're watching Ask Eman. Thank you very much. Welcome back. You're watching Ask Eman live on Eman Channel in conversation with Sheikh, Shaqur, Rehman. 0203 515 0757, our studio number 07916841483, our WhatsApp number. If you've missed the first segment, we've been discussing about gambling, the addiction, and as Muslim responsibility. And if you've missed it, you can find the videos either on our Facebook page or on our YouTube channel, or you can watch the repeat of Ask Eman on Ask Eman highlights either on Sunday or on Monday. Now, Sheikh, before we went on to the break, we were talking about addiction. If you kindly in summary, what can an individual do, especially we have seen a lot of questions, or some questions we do get it, I'm sure, through your counsel and other works that you do get this question about the dua, or is there anything specific a person can do to come out of this addiction? Now, they have been addicted. Now, what's the solution? If you can kindly share.
Okay, alhamdulillah wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Now, any addiction, the problem with it is that you've lost self-control. The actual thrill of that thing that you think is enjoyment, that has overpowered you to the point where you give it precedence over what you know to be good for you, and you know this thing to be bad for you, but the thrill of it, the supposed enjoyment you're going to get from it, overpowers you to a point where you forget about Allah, you forget about everything. It's become now something you can't leave. In fact, really, if you took an Islamic look at it, because you give it precedence over everything else, it doesn't matter, over Allah, His commands, everything, it's become a type of God to you, because you give precedence to it over everything else at that moment. That is a very dangerous situation to be in. Now, you need to get away from that. A person needs to strengthen their own self-confidence, their own management and resilience, and cut off from that thing and everything that leads to that thing. Shaitan's very smart, He gets you in with the first step. Then it doesn't look like something big. Then he makes it look even smaller. He says, go and do it again and again. And before you know it, it's become a habit that you can't get rid of. Now, it's very telling right now in current times that a lot more of the Muslim community are unfortunately involved in gambling. Not because they don't know it's haram, because our Islam right now has become something superficial. We are people who are engrossed in the worldly pleasures, and that's what we have around us. If you compare us living in the West to those who are living in the East and in Muslim countries who are suffering and just manage to find just enough to eat or even less than that, they don't have these problems because they're struggling just to find the bare necessities. We who have luxuries in life, we're going the opposite way, because now we've become engulfed in dunya, and therefore we just think get rich quick, and gambling is the way to get rich, and no one really gets rich through gambling anyway. Yeah, but shaitan plays with us and we get duped by shaitan, and then we fall into this sin. Then we can't leave the sin, and then we destroy ourselves, our hereafter, our families, society. Why? All because we made the dunya the focus of our lives, and we lose all contentment in our hearts. Everything goes. Now, to get off it, a person needs to really buckle down, understand it's going to be difficult, but seek Allah's assistance, keep begging Allah to give them strength, and then increase in all kinds of good deeds, because the more good you do, the more difficult it becomes to do evil. And take the other necessary means, which are people who can help you explain the addiction and how to break habits. Go through all of those, and you can get some of those free on the NHS as well. Talking therapies, addiction therapies. Use everything at your disposal and get other people to restrain you and control your finances if you can't control yourself.
Okay, inshallah, jazakallah khair. And if someone wants to find dua, which any books, any particular, any dua book would you refer?
The best dua that I would say for them is to concentrate and read lots and lots of Quran.
Okay.
A person who fills their heart with Quran is going to become averse to these types of things.
Jazakallah khair. And definitely we can take professional help, speak to your doctor, speak to your GP, and get the necessary help, inshallah. Now, before we move on to our questions, let's take callers and let's see who's first on the line. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for calling in, Brother Muhammad. Your question, please.
My question is, my mum, she's been ill.
Okay, we're struggling to hear slightly. If you can bring the phone closer to your mouth. If you can repeat the question. Yeah, it's better now. Go ahead.
My mum, she's been ill for a while now, and she's been prescribed a medicine that has got pork inside.
Pork, okay. Medicine. Okay.
So is it permissible for her to take this medicine? And there isn't other alternatives, basically. So in order for her to get better, she needs this medicine.
Okay, fine.
In Islam, is it permissible? Yeah.
Fine. You mentioned that there is no other alternative available, and that's the only medicine that's there for your mother.
Yes. At this point in time, yes.
Okay, Sheikh. Do you have any follow-up question?
No.
Okay, it's clear. Inshallah, Sheikh will respond. Sheikh.
Now, at the outset, we need to understand that we all know that pork is haram. Yeah.
Correct.
Lahm al-khinzir, or the meat of the pig, is haram. So we're not allowed to use it. And the Prophet ﷺ also said, "La tadawu bil haram." Yani don't try to treat yourselves with haram. Normally, what they do is the pork that they put in is not actually part of the medicine. It's normally to do with something to preserve the medication or the drug itself.
Right.
So the brother needs to search, is this the only medicine? You know, many times there are alternatives and they don't tell you about the alternatives because they may be more expensive and they don't want you to go down that road. And they're not willing to prescribe that which is more expensive. So he needs to do his own research as well.
Okay.
If there is absolutely nothing else and it's going to be detrimental to her health if she doesn't take it, then, you know, she's going to have no choice.
Okay.
But he should expend his efforts to research, are there any alternatives? Okay. And this should only be the case if, you know, this medicine, if his mum doesn't take it, it's going to be detrimental to health. If it was a medicine, you know, sometimes you get medicines that you're not really that ill. You know, it's just a bunged nose or whatever, and you need to use something, or a cough, whatever. That's not really detrimental to your health if you just put up with it.
Yeah.
So in his case, it sounds like his mum's quite seriously ill.
Yeah.
So he should do the research himself. Don't just rely on those particular doctors who are telling you. Research, ask specialists in medicine, which are pharmacists more so than doctors, and go through that route and see if there are alternatives as well. And
excellent.
May Allah cure his mother
Ameen,
and all of our sick.
Ameen, Ameen, Rabbil Alameen. And of course, this is not a health show. We don't give any health advice. Of course, as Sheikh has also mentioned, please do speak to the professionals. But inshallah, hope, and as Sheikh has mentioned, we pray that may Allah grant shifa. Next question we'll be taking from WhatsApp. It's a good question. My question is, what is the connections between Christianity, Judaism, and Islam? Do Muslims believe in the Bible and Torah, and it's corrupted? And did any Nabis live at the same time?
Okay. So in terms of, do Muslims believe in the Torah and the Injil? Of course they do. You know, Allah says that He is the one who revealed the Torah to Musa alayhi salam, the Injil to Isa alayhi salam, and the Quran to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So we believe in the fact that Allah revealed these books. Okay, and He revealed the Zabur to Dawood alayhi salam, the Suhuf to Ibrahim alayhi salam, and Musa. Okay, so you have all of this. So this is part of our heritage. And we also believe all of those other books were corrupted and changed and manipulated. And the only preserved book out of the revelation from Allah is Al-Quran. So this is where the link is. And the Prophet ﷺ made it very clear. Yani the prophets are ikhwatun li allat. Yani they are brothers. They have different mothers, but their religion is one, as the Prophet ﷺ said. So the legacy that they have is to worship Allah alone and submit to Him completely. So that is where the link is. And, you know, the remainder of the link is that these prophets, you have Ibrahim alayhi salam, you have Nuh alayhi salam, you have Musa alayhi salam, They are mentioned in all of these three scriptures, even in the corrupted form. These messengers are mentioned, even Lut alayhi salam is mentioned, but the stories are corrupted or changed and altered in the other scriptures and have been preserved in Al-Quran. Okay, so when it comes to our referencing of what happened in that past, we're only going to reference Al-Quran. And anything that agrees with it from the remaining scriptures of the Torah and the Injil, some of the scholars, they may mention something from there without endorsing nor negating, as long as it doesn't contradict what we have. Okay, so that's the link. Now, did some prophets live at the same time? Yes, they did. We know without a shadow of a doubt, Zakaria alayhi salam, not Zakaria, sorry, Yahya alayhi salam and Isa alayhi salam were living at the same time. Okay, they were living at the same time. We know that Dawood alayhi salam, his son is Sulaiman alayhi salam. So part of their lives, they were living together at the same time, father and son. Okay, you know Musa and Harun alayhi salam, alayhimus salam. They were both the brothers living at the same time.
Okay, inshallah, jazakallah khair for that. Hope that is clear. You're watching Ask Eman. Inshallah, it's time again for another break. We'll be back in a few moments. Thank you very much. Welcome back. You're watching Ask Eman live on Eman Channel in conversation with Sheikh Shaqur Rehman. 0203-515-0757, our studio number. 07916841483, our WhatsApp number. Also, we are live on Facebook and YouTube channel. Please feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe to our Facebook page, YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter. Do like our Instagram page, and we're also on TikTok now. Now, Sheikh, before I move on to YouTube question, there's a good question that has come through to us through WhatsApp. I would like to know how I can refrain from bad akhlaq in Islam.
MashaAllah. Okay. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Now, how can you refrain from bad akhlaq? Firstly, one needs to understand from the Islamic perspective, from our tradition, what are good akhlaq, what are bad akhlaq. So once you have that understanding, then you can move on and at the same time start practicing the good akhlaq. And every time you're pulled towards doing the bad, and he's saying foul things, behaving in a rude way, not honoring your parents, your guests, siblings, etc., all those people that you're meant to honor, you start honoring them and staying away from dishonoring them. Okay, so that's the beginning of it. Learn what they are. Busy yourself with learning what good akhlaq are so you can implement them. Secondly, on the practical side, how do you learn good akhlaq? There's no better way to learn good akhlaq than to be with people who have good akhlaq or good manners and good etiquette, who have just naturally picked that up from their parents, their extended family, their environment. They've lived that culture of good akhlaq mixed with those people. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, Al-mar'u ala dini khalilihi. A person is upon the way of life, the deen of his friends. فَلْيَنْظُرْ أَحَدُكُمْ مَنْ يُخَالِلْ. So be careful in who you choose as friends. If you mix with people who have good akhlaq, it will rub off on you. And if you mix with people with bad akhlaq, that will rub off on you. And let's just be very frank. The environments that we live in predominantly are full of corrupted, bad, and even vile akhlaq. You can't help but when you walk down the road, you will hear foul language. You'll see people behaving as if no one else matters in life. No care, no consideration.
I would like to point out it's also, unfortunately, in a lot of Muslim countries as well.
Yeah.
Maybe we can differentiate between the levels, but it is also prevalent.
Yeah, because the whole world has become a small village now.
Correct.
And non-Islam or the Western secular culture has become the dominant culture of the world. Okay, and with that comes the ultimate priority in life is personal pleasure. So therefore, no one else matters as long as my pleasures are fulfilled. Whereas all religions teach people, be considerate, be caring of others. You have a judgment day. And if you're not good to others, then you have no value with Allah, with your God. And even if it's non-Muslims who are religious, every religion has these concepts because life has a greater meaning,
yes,
and a greater purpose than fulfillment of one's desires. The secular revolution, when it happened, when they threw away religion because of the oppression that happened to them in Christianity, etc. When that happened, they turned their back on religion. So the only purpose in life was naturally going to come to personal pleasure, personal satisfaction. That's it. So when that is the the greatest priority in one's life, you're ready to abuse. You're ready to not care and be considerate. Why should you? There's no point. Whereas every person who believes in a God, is going to be considerate and caring and generous and all of those have those good traits. So that is the pinnacle of it. Islam is the pinnacle of good manners. The Prophet ﷺ said it very clearly. The only reason I was sent, he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ, to perfect good manners. That's Islam. You're either having manners with Allah when it comes to your ibadat, your ritual worship, your acts of devotion, or you're interacting with the creation and it's good akhlaq with the creation. This is Islam. It's all about manners. So surround yourself with good manners, good environment that implements the Islamic mannerisms, not just the academic study of it, and you will naturally just pick up, what do they call it, by osmosis. You're in that environment, you'll pick it up without even having to try.
So basically, one has to select their friendship, their friends, the friend circle, and who they associate themselves with to attain a good akhlaq.
100%. 100%. When you meet certain mashayikh, they have exceptional manners.
Indeed.
Okay, so, and they might still be young as well. And you love to stay with them because they have really good manners. When a person has good manners, they are a joy to spend time with. And that's how beautiful Islam is.
And they say a person is known by the company he keeps or she keeps.
That's it. That's who you are, your company.
Thank you very much. Next question is an important question, and it's something that we need to know. What age is appropriate for a child to attend janazah and burial?
What age is appropriate? Now, there's no restriction in that sense, okay? And it's very good for us when our children are of the age of understanding. So it's not a set age. Children are different.
Yeah.
Some children mature quickly.
Correct.
They have, they start asking questions about everything and they want to know and they want to see things and they want to get involved. Some children are a bit slower at developing like that. But everyone gets there. The scholars, the fuqaha, they talk about 7 being the age of discernment, knowing between right and wrong. And then older than that, there's differences because people differ in how quickly they mature. So I would suggest, even at the age of 7, if the child is able to attend and behave appropriately, we should take them, because our children need to understand we don't run away from death. Okay, it's not something that's taboo. In current culture, they don't like to talk about death.
It's discouraged.
Yes, discouraged. Why? Because, and as the scholar said of the past, the reason why you hate death is because you're moving from the place that you've populated and you spent all your time over to the place that you caused ruin in. You ruined your hereafter. So obviously you don't want to think about that. You don't want to go there because it's a ruin. You did that. You gave precedence over here. We want to do the opposite. We want to be people who are hereafter-centric. We want to be focused on the hereafter. How do you do that? One of the greatest ways the Prophet ﷺ told us, أَكْثِرُوا ذِكْرَ هَادِمِ اللَّذَّاتِ. Remember the destroyer of desires, death.
Death, yes.
And what reminds you of death more than anything else? Visiting the graveyard, involvement in the burial. Okay, so our children need to see this. We shouldn't be scared about it. It's not a horror story. We know all the details of it. The Prophet ﷺ told us. We should explain it to them. This is a natural transition. Yes, it is painful.
Yes.
We should be clear. Death is painful. It's very saddening. But it is Allah's decree. And although the heart feels sadness and grief, the eyes shed tears, but the lips and the tongue will not utter anything apart from what pleases Ar-Rabb, as the Prophet said.
SubhanAllah. Now, the other question I would have with this is, we also have to inculcate the understanding in our children that death is not something that is associated with age or when you grow old. It can come
100%.
at any point in time. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, 100%. Yani, how are you going to make this real and not an academic study for our children? How? They're going to live with their grandparents and their grandparents pass away, or other family members, they pass away. That's how they understand. And what do we say to them? Yeah, our beloved grandfather, father, whoever it was, has gone back to Allah. So practically, you've taught them our destination. Practically, you've inculcated that in their hearts and etched it, because it's real. It's living the patience and the creed, the faith of Islam. You can teach them all you like, just tell them facts and whatever. It doesn't make it real until you have to go through that experience and you know how to live it. It doesn't become ingrained in you. You know, how do we, know what to say when someone dies and what not to say.
Correct.
Yeah, we know through have seen and witnessed our parents and our relatives say it and do it.
Okay, excellent. Jazakallah khairan. And it is so true that when you visit the graveyard, the cemetery, you feel humbled. You feel that you have nothing, and this is where you will end up. And the consciousness comes, the mindset changes. So inshallah, we will talk about it more. And there are a lot of other questions there. Sheikh, Jazakallah khair for kindly answering those questions. And alhamdulillah, our viewers are benefiting from these answers. And if you do have any question, then you can feel free to call us 0203 515 0757, our studio number 07916 483, our WhatsApp number. Thank you to all our viewers who are sending us question on our WhatsApp, also sending us question on YouTube channel. Inshallah, we will try our level best to take as many questions as possible, but inshallah in the next segment. I'd like to remind you, we're also streaming it live on our Facebook page, our YouTube channel. Please kindly like, share, comment, and subscribe to all our platforms, including Facebook page and our YouTube channel. You can watch the repeat of this program, Ask Eman, on Ask Eman highlights, inshallah, on either Sunday and Monday. We're back in a few moments. You're watching Ask Eman. Thank you very much. Welcome back to the last segment of Ask Eman, live on Eman Channel on Sky 757 or 203 515 0757. Our studio number 07916 841 483. Our WhatsApp number. Both the numbers are displayed at the bottom of your screen in conversation with Sheikh Shaqur Rehman. Now, Sheikh will try to take as many questions as possible. Next question, it's an important question, but also it's related to, some may say, mental health. I'm praying tahajjud, praying all fards. I'm doing all my best to become more close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, I'm still afraid of the challenges that Allah may send towards me. How can I overcome this fear?
Alhamdulillah, salatu wasalam ala Rasulillah. Now, one shouldn't be fearful of challenges Allah sending your way. Rather, one should understand the philosophy in Islam in dealing with challenges. Challenges are all part and parcel of life. Allah did not promise you an easy, comfortable, luxurious, relaxing life. He didn't. What did He promise us? وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. Allah says, we're going to test you emphatically. We're going to test you with something of fear, loss of food, provision, wealth, health, life, loved ones. That's what Allah promised. Because this is not the place of bliss and tranquility. This is a place of bala, calamities, trials, testing. This is the testing ground. Testing ground is difficult. Okay? So, first and foremost, set your perspective correctly that this is a natural part of life. And every test, if you pass the test, you become stronger, more resilient, and higher in status with Allah. That's what Allah actually wants from you. Yes, we don't want tests to come our way, but we should expect that tests will come our way. So when they do come, we're ready to deal with them. Because if you're not expecting it and it surprises you, then you're in a worse off state. So be prepared that tests are going to come my way. And know that the more Allah loves you and the stronger your faith is, the more you will be tested. As the Prophet ﷺ said, أشد الناس بلاء الأنبياء ثم الأمثل فالأمثل. That those who are tested most and most intensely are the prophets, then those who are most like them, then those who are most like them. A person is tested in proportion to the strength of his faith. So if Allah finds his faith to be strong, He tests him in a very strong and intense way. And if his faith is weak, then he's tested in a softer, more gentler way, so that it walks on the earth. That person who was tested intensely walks on the earth without sin. Allah wants to raise our ranks through tests. This is what Allah wants for us. Now, how do you deal with tests? And Yusuf alayhi salam, if you think about his story, his whole life was test after test after test after test. It never ends. Okay? And Allah tells us, we're going to test you with bil khayri wa sharri. We're going to test you with good things, luxury, and having everything that you need, or lots of things that you need. That's also a test. Are you going to fulfill Allah's rights in that thing? The rights of the poor, the rights of others? Every single thing you have is a test, whether you're in ease or difficulty. So that's the philosophy that we should have. And then the actions. Yusuf alayhi salam summarizes the keys to success in every moment and in every test. He says, إِنَّهُ مَن يَتَّقِي وَيَصْبِرْ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُضِيعُ أَجْرَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. 3 characteristics. Have taqwa of Allah, do what He wants in that situation. You never lose. Secondly, no matter what, do that right thing. Be resilient. Be persevering in that thing. Don't get distracted from doing the right thing, what Allah wants you to do. That was number 2. And then number 3, don't forget to be benevolent to others, even though you're going through tough times. These are the secrets of dealing with challenges that Allah mentions on the tongue of Yusuf alayhi salam in the end of Surah Yusuf. So don't be afraid, but follow this advice. Know what Allah wants from you and do it. Be resilient and don't give up on that right thing that you're doing, because it's what Allah wants. And be benevolent to Allah's creation mankind in general, even though you're going through tests and trials.
Thank you for that. Next question. Do children with learning disabilities have to pray 5 times a day?
And it's too broad.
Very.
Learning difficulties, and it could be something like dyslexia. That's a learning difficulty. And if a person is sane and they are the age of 7, you're meant to order them to pray. And they know what they're doing. At the age of 7, tell them to pray. And even if they have difficulties, tell them to pray.
Quick question there. They're saying learning disabilities, and we know difficulty and disabilities are a bit different.
Yes, yani, the whole thing is not about disabilities and that means they don't have to pray. No, you should encourage them to pray.
Okay.
They will learn, right? So if they learn slower, no problem. Remember, it doesn't become serious until puberty, but we have an obligation to train them from the age of 7. That's the obligation upon us. Now, so go with that and understand that before puberty, it doesn't count against them. Okay, so we should take that philosophy. We should encourage and train them, because in that training, they will learn. If we leave it and say, oh, no, the person's got a disability and we're not going to try with them, then what's going to happen? That's going to be delayed for them.
So here, another thing I'd like to also discuss. We know even individuals who are terminal, who has got illnesses that we know doctors may have given them a time frame, a period. And even in such circumstances, we know the person, as long as he has got his senses, he's sane, he or she still has to pray. So therefore, if someone has got learning difficulty or disability, it's not relevant to someone not being in a position to even have that understanding. They still have the understanding. They may learn something slowly. They may learn something over the time, gradually. But salah is still there and they still have to pray. But it's how we train and nurture them.
Yeah, so we need to make that distinction that, a child, you're not going to be harsh with them at the age of 7 about the prayer. You're going to encourage. That's part of the training. You're not going to turn them away from prayer by being too harsh and overzealous. No, it's not like that. Encouragement, enticement, rewards, etc. This is how you deal with kids in general. Okay, so that's the approach. Never be too heavy-handed on them. And remember that it doesn't count against them until they reach and got to puberty. So it's about the training and the encouragement and being serious about it, because this has to be part and parcel of their lives. Okay, so if you take a different approach, you're going to not do the best for them when it comes to the training in the thing that is best for their hereafter, therefore best for their whole lives, and best for their worldly life as well, because there's nothing that gives a person tranquility and self-confidence and any stability in the heart, nothing like the salah that can do that.
Okay, excellent. Briefly, you can answer this question. It's from YouTube because it's related to what we have even discussed. If one gets a lot of thoughts and questions about Aqidah, when can one ignore them and when should one ask and seek answers about them?
Okay. When you should ignore them are when they are thoughts that come which cause you to become incapacitated, debilitated. So they're destroying your faith from inside. They're eating up at you and they cause you such anxiety. Questions which are, you're intrigued, you want the details of this in Islam. You want to know the wisdom of this in Islam. Not that you're challenging the foundations of Islam because of this thought. Those ones that are challenging and causing you to, your Iman to become shaken, those are the destructive doubts and whispers that you need to avoid and close the door to and not let yourself think about them.
Okay.
The other kind of intrigue that you have, what's the details of this in Islam? What's the wisdom behind this in Islam? Those are perfectly fine. Ask the people of knowledge and they'll answer.
Excellent. And with regards to any mental health, please do seek professional advice, speak to your GP and speak to them about anything that is bothering or concerning you. Then inshallah, take the appropriate guidance from the doctors, and of course we have ulama and shuyukh. You can take the spiritual guidance. Literally, I've got couple of seconds, or let's say less than a minute. My 3 children, age 11, 9, 8, pray 5 times, but for morning, some of the time they wake up late and they make up for their fajr. Would that be okay, or should I be more strict about it?
Try to get them up. Now it's quite easy because it's winter time. It's the time they get ready for school. So now there should be no excuse. You can pray at 7 o'clock. You can pray 7:15. Even 7:30 is still in London here. It's before the sunrise.
Sunrise, correct.
So, in the winter time, we should be more strict on them. And it should be, if it happens on occasion, they oversleep, then they make up for it. But we should, on the issue of salah, from 7 years old, we should encourage them. We should order them to pray. We should really be there, waking them up, making sure they get up and pray. Okay. From 7 years old, we should be doing that.
Excellent. Jazakallah khair. But of course, with love and make them aware and make them understand.
Yeah, with love and firmness.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Tough love sometimes.
Jazakallah khair for that. Thank you very much for giving us your valuable time once again. And hopefully, inshallah, we can get more of your time in future episodes.
Inshallah.
That's Sheikh Shaqur Rehman. That's all we have time for. You're watching Ask Eman live on Eman Channel. If you've missed it, videos on YouTube and Facebook, and repeat on Ask Eman highlights Sunday, Monday. Until next time, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.